So, Jane, what is white noise and why is it so popular for sleep?
Yeah. So white noise refers to a noise that contains lots of frequencies across the spectrum of sound, all in equal measure. And so the way that it's produced is we combine lots and lots of different frequencies together. So not one sound specifically is heard clearly or distinct from one another. And what you end up with is this beautiful, fuzzy kind of sound that has no specific pitch, but what it can do is it can blend out beautifully sounds that are happening in our outside environment. And so things like doors slamming, loud conversations, dogs barking suddenly become softened by
Mm.
this beautiful non-specific noise.
Mm-hmm. And so, how does that help a baby sleep in particular? Are they really sensitive to those types of noises when they're trying to settle?
So, in order for babies to quiet and calm themselves down in preparation for sleep, a series of coordinated central motor and cardiac regulations occur for that to happen. But for some babies, especially really young babies in that 0 to 3 months age category, they might require a little bit more support to help them fall off to sleep, similar to what they received in utero. So that that those are things like having a snug space to be sleeping in, deep whooshing sounds that they heard, being that of the maternal blood flow, movement such as rocking and sucking and things like that. And we can achieve all of these things on the outside for our babies by holding them, rocking them, and shushing them. But we can also use things like white noise to help create that beautiful environment for the babies that they were so used to, because white noise mimics that so beautifully.
Is white noise a magic answer for sleep, or should it be used in conjunction with other tools when it comes to settling a baby?
Yeah. So it absolutely is something that can be added to your toolkit. I think in and of itself, it's something that is useful. But when you bring it into the routine, when you're preparing a baby for sleep, be that may have a bath, pop a beautiful swaddle or a sleep suit on your baby, turn the white noise on. All of those things in combination are really helpful when building that sleep association for your
Mm-hmm.
baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Great. What are some of the safety tips parents need to be aware of if they do want to incorporate white noise into their sleep routine?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first and foremost, white noise in and of itself can always be really safely introduced to a baby from birth. The most important thing with white noise is that we remember that it's to be played in the background, never in the foreground. So we don't want something that is so
Mhm.
loud that we're intensely trying to drown out whatever's happening outside. That's not the point, and we could potentially be doing harm to our babies that way. So we want to be thinking about a noise level that is similar to a conversation, such as what we're having now, Amanda, or a shower, or a dryer that's playing in the background, or that is on in the background.
And I think
Also,
you mentioned earlier it was about muffling the sounds that might be disruptive rather than trying to block them all out
exactly.
altogether. So we don't really need that aggressive, loud white noise. It's more just the gentle muffling that we're
Yes.
aiming for here.
There's something else that I feel is really important to mention whenever we're bringing something into the sleep environment,
Mm-hmm.
that any machine or device remains well away from the baby's
Mm-hmm.
cot, never ever inside the cot. And I know, as being a parent myself, when it's sleep time, the wheels are falling off. We just really need to work out a way that we get this baby to go to sleep. Sometimes we forget that there are safe sleep principles in place that we need to follow to make sure that our babies stay really safe. And so we don't want to be putting anything inside the cot space where
Mm-hmm.
baby is, particularly anywhere near the head, or the ears, to protect the baby's hearing, but anything that could potentially interfere with a baby's breathing.
Yeah.
So if we're using a white noise device, we make sure that that remains outside of the cot, ideally 2 meters away. Just making sure that we're keeping our baby safe in that way.
When is a good time to stop using white noise or to not stop, and what are some of the parameters around that?
Really, I think the first thing to think about is that our babies are very unique and they're very individual with regards to themselves as little human beings, just as we are as adults, but also their requirements for sleep and how they go about preparing themselves to go ahead and do that. So I think it's a very individual decision to be made by the parents and the caregivers. So if you'd like to start using white noise from birth, there is absolutely no harm in doing so. In fact, certainly the research that I've found on this very topic all points to positive outcomes with shorter crying times and settled babies, which is fantastic, and music to the ears of brand new parents. So if you feel that your baby requires the additional support of white noise to help them settle off and sleep, absolutely go for it and know that you're not doing any harm. Now, as your baby grows, gets a little bit clever, starts to work out that maybe this beautiful noise means sleep, and maybe I don't want to sleep anymore because I'm getting older and clever, that might be a time that you might consider taking it off as a sleep tool and seeing how your baby responds without the white noise, and that's fine. By around 12 months of age, most babies can soothe themselves with the support of a transitional object that you might have provided to them a little bit earlier. So that might be a teddy or a comforter, something like that, and they no longer require the additional support of white noise. But if it's still working, you can absolutely keep using it. And you know, where it is so very helpful is if you have incorporated it into your sleep routine and you decide that you want to go on a holiday or you want to go and have dinner at a grandparent's house and suddenly you're going to be outside of your normal sleep environment, you've got this tool to help remind baby that it's okay and we're in a safe place and we're going to sleep now. And you'll have more success and a much more enjoyable experience when you're on the go with the baby. So it's really, you know, when to stop. It's up to the discretion of the parent and caregiver in, you know, conjunction with the baby.
Yeah. Okay, great. Now you're a mum and a midwife. What's your personal experience with white noise and how you've used it with your own children that perhaps some of our listeners can glean some insight from?
Yeah, I, like many first-time parents, was very anxious about making sure that she had enough sleep, making sure that maybe I got a little bit more sleep. I was wanting to do the right thing by her. I wanted her to be settled all the time and calm, and it was something that I used right from the beginning. And it was fantastic because what it actually did for me, and I think this is something that many of us don't think about when we're using tools like this, is it's actually important to be able to provide parents and caregivers with something that can potentially reduce their own anxiety, particularly if sleep is really stressful. And so if you've got something that you know is going to calm you down, you're going to keep that kind of calmness about you that your baby, through attunement, will absorb. You don't want to be sitting there anxious at sleep time. Oh my God, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? And have that baby pick up on that, and then sleep time becomes a disaster. So white noise is fantastic for sort of moderating the anxiety around the adult and soothing them just as much as it is for soothing the baby. And I found then with my daughter, you know, we could comfortably go to dinner or we could go away on holiday and we would bring it with us, and she associated the sound with sleep. So we would wrap her up, turn it on, the eyes would roll around in the head. Great. She was going to go to sleep, didn't matter where we were, which was fantastic. As a midwife, I certainly have no problems recommending white noise to new parents. When I'm working clinically and doing days where I've worked in theatre and we're having lots of babies born via cesarean section, there's a moment in time there where the mother is separated from her baby. It's about 10 minutes. And in that time, the baby and the second parent or caregiver comes with me into my office. It's nice and dark in there. It's warm and the white noise is on. So immediately we're providing that to the baby because suddenly they've lost all of that beautiful noise that they're so used to.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Jane. You have been a fountain of knowledge, and I'm sure all the parents listening to this will really appreciate the insight you've given us. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.